welcome. We're here at the Good Guys Summer Nationals in March over here in Westworld of Scottsdale, and I'm here basically to cover over some different questions and stuff that I get a lot of people ask. What's a good car to get? What's a good project? What do I need to look in for my muscle car? A lot of people get into projects that are getting over their head. They don't know what to do, and they don't know where to pick up and what to look for. I'm going to show you some different things where basically you can do's and don'ts, and hopefully teach you a little bit on something on it. One of the most questions I get is how do you deal with rust, how to locate them, and what to find basically for it. A lot of cars basically have 40 years on, like for this one, it's a 1970 Camaro, so it's got 40 years plus of corrosion and stuff that could happen to it. As we can see that the lips and the front end and the back end of this Camaro has already been addressed. So that means somebody already went through and took the time to eliminate potential hazards of rust, which makes it the more work that they do means the less that you have to do later. As you can see with the primer and stuff on it, these may have quarter panels on it. The trunk panel is new basically here. Looks like it's a Good Mark product that's been put on it. All this adds to value to the car when you look at it. The more value that's added to the car in parts, the less that you have to hunt for later. So sometimes paying more for a better car is much more of a better deal than buying a car that needs everything and you got it at a screaming deal, because it'll eventually nickel and dime you to death. Now, the one thing that I've noticed basically with these vehicles, you have to look at the whole vehicle itself to take a look at this overall condition. The first things that I've noticed with this vehicle right here is there's a lot of pitting and a lot of damage basically into the Endura, which means it's a good thing that you have the Endura so you don't have to go and find it, but it does need to be resurfaced, it does need to be restored, and it does need to be reconditioned. So in the parts of the value is whether or not you go and rebuild this front end or whether or not you buy a new one and replace it with something else. Emblens, chrome pieces, and little items are always more expensive and harder to find secondhand, or whether or not they're being replaced, than if you have it originally. If you have it original, you don't have to go searching for for these parts, especially for these turn bezels, basically for the turning lights. These half-inch bumperettes that you have only on the RS models. You do not have them on the basic Camaro models, especially between 70 to 73. It's a must-have if you have an RS nose, but very hard to get if you don't have them, or you'll have to buy reproduction model parts, which may not be equal or exactly like the original parts themselves. Now, going back to the story on the Camaro, sometimes when you buy things online or you see them in pictures, they don't always tell the truth. On this one side that we showed you on this Camaro, it looked relatively good. As we come around to the other side, we can see some underlying problems with the car. First of all, we're looking at a fender, and it is eaten away pretty much with rust. It is hidden with the back primer, but this tells me there is rust issues basically in this vehicle, in this front quarter right here, covered up by the black primer. So you have to look at all the corners and inspect all the vehicle. Just do not take the photograph at its own merits and look at the different corners. This quarter panel would have to be replaced. It could be patched up, but due to the other issues that I see in it with the bondo and stuff on it, it's much better to replace it with a new reproduction panel than it is to go through the trouble of trying to repair it. Now that I've given you some pointers and some do's and don'ts, when you're looking at different type of cars, sometimes you need that third person or that someone to evaluate what you're looking for to make sure that your investments are correct, especially when you're looking at different type of project cars. I've had more than 25 years experience dealing with classic muscle cars since I've grown up in the field and grown up with the industry. Also, basically with background knowledge, basically with your F-bodies and all different types of models and cars. You can get in touch with me via my phone number or my website, and I'll be happy to explain and actually look after and look towards working with you, and also looking after and answering questions on these particular cars and other cars that you may have questions on. And I thank you.